Welcome back to NTheRealestWay Podcast by Marqes Smith, where we talk about so many topics in the realest way. On this podcast episode, I was having just a little discussion with myself about so many issues and so many things that were constantly going through my mind about people and relationships and how me cutting somebody off, it really impacts you in a way to where a lot of people were not ready to admit. And I'm still not. I've come to an understanding about it, but I haven't fully committed to it. So when cutting somebody off, regardless of whatever reason that you decide to cut somebody off, because your reason is valid, it's valid if you decide to cut somebody off. If you don't want anybody in your life anymore, you have the decision to remove them. Don't ever think that that's not an option, that you have to continue to have this person in your life, because you don't. You pick up yourself, you take the entirety of who you are, and you leave. Especially when it comes into terms of boundaries and disrespecting you and what you stand for. I implore anybody who is dealing with people who destroy that, remove them from your life. Take the entirety of who you are. The amazing person that you are, you take that and you leave. But when doing that, we as people sometimes, we don't speak about the issues that happen when we leave these certain people in the past. We leave them where they're at. We don't talk about it. We don't talk about how it impacts us, especially if you're close, on how this continuation of a relationship, how it was a constant, of a hello, hey, hanging out together. It was something that was constant and consistent. So now that this is an example right here, if you constantly go to the same place every day, the same time, this same time, the exact same way, all of these things, and then someday you decide not to do it, it's gonna feel weird. You're gonna want to revert back to old habits, old tendencies. There's like so many examples. You talk to this person on the phone when you're having issues, or they talk to you, vice versa. And now you have an issue, and now you're trying to call this person, but you remember, hey, this relationship no longer exists anymore. There's so many things that we don't speak about in terms of the after of a relationship. The after, how it affects you and the other person. And there's been so many times when people tell me, you don't care about me anymore. And that's far from the truth. I care about you so much that I had to remove myself from you, because I have to continue to have this understanding that, hey, this is all that we had. These amazing experiences, everything I experienced with you, it was amazing. But there's some disconnect that is no longer connecting between both of us. And I'm deciding, because I care about you so much, that this relationship isn't benefiting either of us. So it's important to understand from the other side, looking in, that everything is not about what it looks like. Of course, you've seen when I cut you off and I distance myself. And you don't have to explain yourself to people, but it becomes harder when you care about that person and the ideas that are in their head are incorrect. And even though it's hard to not explain your side of why you did something, because you don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to explain yourself to anybody. When you decide to make a decision about your life and what you want to do with your life, there's nobody who needs an explanation. You don't need to explain why you did what you did if you did it with the pure intention of your heart and what you thought was the right thing to do. Because at the end of the day, what else are we gonna do aside from listening to what God and the universe and what us as people we believe? What else are we gonna listen to? Because if we constantly listen to other people, we will never find which way to go. At some point, you're gonna be confused and lost. So it's important to have a truth within yourself. an honest truth within yourself about people and about yourself. And understanding that, hey, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt losing those people. But look at how much you'll gain because of it. You'll gain so much more from it. The discipline about it. The respect for yourself. God, the universe, whatever you believe, it's going to keep giving you the same lesson until you get it. It will. Whether you believe it or not. Different people, different situations, the same thing. The same exact thing. At some point, you need to put your foot down and you need to say, this is enough. I love the experience that we had together. I cherish it. I still hold those experiences to a high regard. But you can no longer be in my life. I love you. And I can love you from a distance. So this podcast episode, I wasn't even going to make it, but I was sitting in a whole nother room because I'm going to OJT, which is on the job training for a band for the Army. I'm in Camp Humphrey in South Korea, and I just constantly bump into people in my past who it really hurts when I see them. It hurts my heart. It hurts how I couldn't explain why I did what I did. They don't understand that. And it wasn't any way to where it was a disagreement between both of us. They were very respectful and they spoke to me and they addressed me and I addressed them. But the mere fact of seeing these people, it really hurts. It really hurts. But we have to come to a point to where it just has to hurt for some time and we have to keep going. We just have to. This life is something that is beautiful, but sometimes it can kick you and beat you down to the ground. It can and it will. So having a security in your mind of who you are, what you believe in, your values, having something to hold you and tether you to this world. My thing is God. It's my purpose. It's the people around me who have a significant importance in my life. Those are the things that tie me to this world. It may not be exactly what mine is. There's people who their purpose in life is to serve other people in a way to where they're serving God and they're serving other people through God. There's so many types of people in this world. You'll find out who you are because the universe, God, has a purpose for everybody in anything. You may not believe it right now. You may be lost. You may not know where to go. You may want to revert back to old habits, to old people because they're familiar. But once you get that sense of who you are and you're by yourself and you're just working through what you need to work through, the right people will come. God will send the right people to you when the time is ready. God will. Hold on. Hold on. And this goes for anything that you're experiencing in life. When you're down and you feel defeated. There were times this week I was down. I was defeated. I wanted to run to the bathroom and just cry because I was experiencing so many emotions, people not understanding who I was. I would go on the internet, I would see so many horrible things happening to the people in my community. All of these things, it affected me, it broke me down. And not a lot of people asked me, was I okay? To be very specific, only one person asked me if I was okay. And it was somebody who I wouldn't say didn't matter and didn't have importance in my life, but they weren't as significant as other people. And they never asked me if I was okay. They never asked me. So I was experiencing all these emotions, all these feelings, and I was just by myself. You know, I just can't call on somebody for help. Even if I was in the United States. But to add the fact that I'm in South Korea, I can't just call my sister whenever I want to. I can't call my grandma whenever I want to. I have to have, and we have to have, a sense of who we are and owning up to who we are. And that the people who care about us most, sometimes they can't help us. Sometimes we have to do this thing on our own. And that's the important thing that I want to leave this podcast episode on. Just the fact that life, it will beat you down sometimes. But it's about what you do after. It's about what you decide to do. Do you keep going? Do you find a way to push through? Or do you stop and give up? That's the question you have to ask yourself. And find a strength within it all. Find your strength. Everybody's is different. Everybody's is different. Find yours. Connect. Find a purpose. I promise you, it'll make your life a lot easier. And get some kind of routine of consistency with your life. Making your bed. Opening your blinds. The small things, they really matter, in case anybody didn't know. The small things matter. And these are a lot of things I talked about on my previous podcast episodes. It really is that deep. I talk about the importance of the small things being that deep, the principled things being that deep, all kinds of things. Everything that you do in life, you need to do with intention. And yes, life is exhausting. I'm not saying you work and you work and you work till you can't. I'm saying there's times where you can be consistent with your rest. There's times you can be consistent with how you physically feel and emotionally and mentally. You can be consistent in those things. It's all about intention. It's all about how you do things and how you go about them. And that's what I want to leave this podcast episode off on. I'm so thankful for the knowledge God has given me. I'm so thankful to be here. And like I said at the end of every podcast episode, I give thanks to the highest, to the utmost power God. I'm thankful for my friends, for my family. I'm thankful for the listeners and soon, hint, hint, viewers. I'm so excited about that part where I'm going to have so many more people that are actively in my life. We're going to be talking about a lot of topics in the realest way. I'm so excited about that new journey, that new era for me. Thank you for listening to this podcast episode. This is Marqes Smith and NTheRealestWay Podcast. Out.